please. Once again. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Nice to see some people in the audience. All right, I'd like to remind everybody that the public hearing on the short-term rental regulations is still open. If anybody wants to say anything on the short-term rental regulations, you can at any time during the meeting if you raise your hand during the public comment, or now if you'd like. That remains open. Minutes reviews. Everybody had a chance to review the clerk's minutes from the May 9th meeting. Anybody have any requests for corrections, additions? These are the clerk's minutes. First public comment. Thank you. Somebody raised their hand. Dennis?
I didn't really have anything.
Oh, okay.
I want to say thanks to the community. Adele probably, I'm sure, has named every single business and every person that has helped with the Black Flag Challenge. But we had another amazing and successful race, and I especially want to thank the public safety people that were involved, starting with state police, the sheriff's office in Hamilton County, all the fire and fire policemen from Indian Lake Fire, Indian Lake EMS, Blue Mountain EMS, and then coming over to us, it was a great effort by Ives, really full speed ahead. Lots of great work with small amount of crew, both ambulances and our rescue Rhino were out there. And then coming over to the Inlet Police Department, it was excellent. We had help from almost all the officers, did a great job. And then ending with LifeNet, who offered to stand by as a little bit of publicity, but also to be 2 or 3 minutes from anywhere in the race. And unfortunately, we didn't need them, but it was great to have them there. I think they'd like to come back again if they have nice weather. They hand out water bottles and keychains and stuff like that. But again, there's numerous people to thank, but I just wanted to thank my crew, and of course the ham radio operators, which there was almost 50 operators out in the field giving reports and giving safety updates to the radio.
And I think you had Old Forge there too, right?
Yes, they did come and came to the park to listen to music.
Yes. So, or working the tent or whatever they did. I don't know what they did.
You know, once again, they loaned us their band shell. You know, the community spirit on this all the way around
really.
is awesome. Just beyond awesome. And if anybody wants to help cook burgers in the future, I've done that in the past. The weight loss plan was in full effect with the heat that day and the steam coming off that grill. I don't think I've seen Herb sweat that much in quite a few years.
I was sweating that much an hour ago. But...
I wasn't there an hour ago. But to second what Dennis said, just the support from everybody was phenomenal. And if you weren't up there, I was up there briefly, but it just was amazing to see that park used like that. Absolutely amazing to see it used like that. All right. Any other public comment? Connie?
Yeah, we had the scoping document for the Heat Smart program, where we had to get people either to have an energy audit, install either a heat pump and or mini splits. And so we reached our goal. Dan submitted the document. We have $5,000 that we give to the town to do some sort of energy
Awesome.
stuff. So we just got this in the email today that CEC is increasing the amount. If we completed this, we get the $5,000. If we get another 10 people in the area to participate in this with any of those things, we will get an additional 10,000.
Is there a time limit on that?
It just started. They said as of June 1st, 2023. I'll give you this. Made a copy to give it to you. Let's see.
Until the money runs out.
Yeah.
So if you just do an audit, whether you approve it or not, the account.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think it said, I haven't had a chance to really look at this. I just found it before it came in. That before we could get a couple people to do an audit, and the other one kind of do.
Right.
So I don't see that specifically, but we can, dig into this further. But the other news is, if we do, we'll talk about this later since it's on the agenda. If we go through any company to do the community solar, for the town and then open it up to residents, that would give us a second, completion scoping document. That would give us another $5,000 per town. And then that would get us into the next level, it would give us another $5,000. So this is all good stuff that can go, depending on what you want to do with it, whether it's, you know, maybe solar panels or wind turbines, and we can talk about that, you know, at another time. Got a guy that, actually Dan and I went to a symposium or workshop in Utica. And it was in Inca, Mohawk Valley, you know, consolidated program. They talk about all the energy options. And I have been talking with a fellow, and it's from ducted wind turbines. They do both solar and the wind turbine. I know Jim Nurship is actually looking into a wind turbine on his property. The wind is right in there. And so these folks do both. And I talked to the owner of that particular program for a while. And it'd be great to do the audit, and they're gonna also check out the school system, but these are the kind of things we wanna at least get out there in the public. And if the town jumps on that, there's money that's coming in from the efforts that you can utilize towards that.
Very good. Very, very good. Yes. And that's why we've got the solar thing on the agenda later tonight, quite honestly. That, to me, when it was presented, it seemed like a no-brainer. There's quite a bit of information on here. Hoping Dan can help us with some of that tonight. Yeah, but this is all good steps, you know. I'm interested in having an audit done at my house. I didn't jump in at the first one because I didn't want to take it away from somebody else that was doing it. But if you need 10, that's going to be a higher lift.
Okay.
That's going to be a higher lift. So yes, I'm interested. Lugging that air conditioner up and downstairs to put in the window is getting harder and harder. Getting older. It's getting heavier. Any other comment? There's another one at the end of the meeting. If not,
Yeah, just so I could make the minutes or whatever. You kind of know where I stand on the short-term rental thing. I am in favor, nothing, no problem with the permit system. I'm against the moratorium aspect of it. I'm in favor of the permit going townwide. I always was in favor of that. I just don't think that the moratoriums are rabbit hole. I just feel that is necessary to go down. You don't really know if there's going to be a positive outcome and negative outcome. It's the researching data, it's up and down. I mean, I've looked into it, so you know, if there's no certainty to it, then I wouldn't go there. But I feel that the system in place is working from what I see. You know, unless there's something out there that I'm missing. And if there is a problem that's isolated here and there, it can be targeted more as opposed to doing more of a major change, shorter terms, more money. You know, and I get it. I mean, I can understand reasons for things like that. I mean, even a shorter term Amy, I mean, there's a lot of, I'm sure it's keeping you busy, but it's just my aim. I just wanted to enter that into the minutes or whatever. But the last thing, John, was that we had I spoke to a few people on the board. I've done a lot of emails and things like that back and forth. I got the impression that is there an overwhelming demand by the people of the town, the voters, taxpayers, to go forward with this? What's the feel on it? I know the planning board is designing this, and I don't know exactly why it came about or how, or, how we got to this point. But from the people I'm talking, to, most are not really aware of it, or they're like, why, or don't we have a permit system already? And, most people that I've talked to were kind of pretty shocked about the moratorium work. That was like, well, where'd that come from? Or why, So that's just, that's just how I feel. I've been out there, not campaigning, but just talking to my neighbors and people I bumped into, a couple of business owners here and there, and they're concerned. But a lot of people, they don't have time to make all of, I try to light a fire under some people to, get involved, or even if you don't agree with me, just, I like to hear the opinion, because I've learned a lot. I've seen some emails coming in and I've read them, and there's angles and aspects that I never even thought of, so it's interesting. But it's a good debate, but I feel that a lot of it can be weeded out. And if it's, I don't feel Inlet is Old Forge or anything near it. I grew up in it. I'm in Inlet last 3-4 years. I like it a hell of a lot better here now. But Old Forge has got a lot more properties, and I'm sure it's gonna do some growing pains with what they've got in place now. I've inspected a lot of properties down there, probably at least 500. I've been in a lot of camps and places, and yeah, some of it I agree is a mess. But I like what I see up here, and we have a finite number of properties. It's a little easier to keep track of. I've kind of been in most of them, but just wanted to mention it so that I'm not forgotten.
Oh, you're
out there.
you're not forgotten.
No, I know,
No.
but and you know how I feel about it, but it's hard for me to get a feel on how you guys feel about it.
How you want to poll the board? I mean, it's public comment time, and we're in the public hearing. It's up to you guys.
I feel I want to hear more from more people, or I have my own opinion, but I want to know what people think, or I voice my opinion. That's where I've been, and I just want to know what people think.
Herb?
Is it more important for you guys to hear from owners, tourists, renters, or do you want to hear all angles?
Anybody involved, I think.
Public comment is public comment, and quite honestly, all angles. The one that you touched on, I don't mean to step on.
No, you're fine. No, go ahead.
Where this might have come from, and my interpretation of where it came from is the fact that not just us, but any tourist location around the world right now. I just read one last night on New Zealand, where a poor woman might lose her rental because of the oppressive things that are happening there. The arguments go both ways. The thing for us, as somebody that's living here year round, had hoped one of their kids would be here. The job situation drove them out more than anything else, but there's not a lot of land left that we can utilize. And when you see the majority of it being snapped up by seasonal and or business rentals, and that's what most of these are. There was one show on the Travel Channel, one of those channels, vacation home for free. You buy it, you can use it for 2 weeks out of the year, and the rest of the time you're going to rent it and you're going to pay it off, and you'll have it for your retirement home. It's a nice aspect, but when you don't have enough land to put the next generation on, that's where in my opinion, some of what can we do? Is it right? Is it wrong? That's what we're trying to find out through the public process.
I sympathize with that situation. I'm just local up here, is a lot of local. I mean, I've been around here my whole life, and my parents camped on First Lake. My father was a lineman for Niagara Mohawk up there till 1999 with that whole crew, Tom Fox, Centola. We had a 6-bedroom camp on First Lake with some beautiful lake frontage. We wanted to help my grandmother out with a condo in Florida. We sold it for $34,000. I mean, it breaks our heart, but I've been around where you couldn't give camps away up here. There were hundreds for sale. In the last 30 years, it's kind of boom. And, it can it can go south on you too. So I be careful of government kind of it's not your fault that there's not a lot of land, but it's sort of like this. Beverly Hills is never gonna get cheap. And it's expensive here. It's just a fact everywhere. I'm inspecting homes at Gordon Hill that you couldn't give away for $10,000. They're going for $180,000. And I mean, there's literally police line, houses next door, people getting shot, and they're paying that kind of money that it blows my mind, but it's going on everywhere. It's just, it is an inlet. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of land, and there's not a lot of cheap land. I don't know what to do on how to have your kids be able to afford a house.
Right, it wasn't just for my kids, it was the next generation.
I mean, it's unfortunate. I mean, my daughter's in Buffalo and she's 30 and she can't buy a house.
We don't want to become Vail, Colorado, where they're busing them in from a state away almost. That's, and again, this was just an attempt. We didn't adopt it right away. It may not be adopted, that part. We're not there yet. I think the lawyers are looking at it. It's on the agenda. I was hoping either Adele or Denny could give us an update, or Amy, on the public hearing, but I got to get through communications first.
Well, I was just gonna answer a couple of his questions.
Okay.
The reason I brought up updating our rental program was the fact that we have areas of our town where one side of the street is R1, and the other side is RR, or commercial.
No, I agree, yeah.
So it's, South Shore Road's a perfect example. One side of the road needs a permit, the other side doesn't. The $300 for 3-year permit fee is probably one of the cheapest in the country. Most states in areas pay much more than that. And in 5 years, what I've been finding in 5 years, like with my inspections, a lot can change in a house in 5 years. I'm not going through it every year, but in 3 years, not as much is likely to change. So those were the reasons I asked for the update on the thing. The other ideas that came forward are just what our town sees could be problems in our future if we don't kind of plan ahead of it now. So
I don't want the problems either. I live here too. I get it.
that's how it evolved.
Okay, and you would ask what the board members wanted. Am I interrupting you?
No, I'm done.
We're gonna get Herb and the others, and then give other people a chance to speak.
yeah, I could see where Amy's at, and I can see making it fair through the whole town to try to have everybody on the same permit system, so that you don't have the South Shore problem with on one side of the street, the other side of the street, that kind of thing. But I am personally not for a lot of intrusive stuff into this, like the moratorium and, a couple other little things that need to be tweaked. So I think we're gonna see this thing tweaked a little bit before it goes in. That's where I'm coming from.
Dan?
Yeah, well, I've looked at both ends. I respect the planning board if they're actually looking out for the next generation coming up. That's pretty neat, really. But I gotta say, it wasn't easy 35, 36 years ago when I started. It's always been hard. It just has. I don't know, probably everybody at the board can remember when they started. Maybe somebody will say it's easy. I don't know. It wasn't easy then either. So I get what you're saying, Joe. And I kind of agree with the permit all over. Typically, it's just lines on a piece of paper. Where'd they come from? Who did that? How'd they come up with that? I don't know. Interesting how they're on there. Why these guys got permits, these guys don't. Maybe it should be all permitted. The moratorium.
Kane was saying, and they did the zoning in 66. It's funny, like how R1 is the backside of Six Lake, which is boat access only. It's about as residential as,
Yeah.
living in a lab.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it is. It's those lines on a map. And so I agree completely count line.
So
It makes sense,
I get when you brought that up. It makes some sense for sure. Maybe there's a little restrictive there, so somebody won't make it an Airbnb and they make it something else. So to try to find that, I don't know, we're trying to find a balance here, I guess. Moratorium kind of scares me off. I'm not in love with that moratorium either. So it needs if that was tweaked a little bit from my perspective anyway.
Well, I also too with the moratorium, the way it's currently written, I brought this up in another meeting. That I've been renting for 34 years. I get hit by a bus, well, I got hit by a car actually 2 weeks ago, so it's pretty damn close. So I get killed, leave the property to my daughter. She'd be like banned from renting for 2 years.
I believe we addressed that.
We're gonna cover that under the planning board update.
Has that been tweaked?
Not yet.
I think they're working on this stuff, so.
Yeah.
Let's get through the board and then we'll go on with the planning board. Okay, Don?
I'm in favor of it being townwide, you know, what's good for this person should be good for this person. The moratorium, at first I wasn't a fan of it, and I'm still not sure, but I do witness working on places that this person, they just, in the neighborhood, just bought their third house. And just to rent, you know, so they've got 2 that they rent and 1 that they stay in once in a while. In the house that they just bought to rent, actually raised a family here years ago. They went to town and web school. I mean, it's a winter house, it's year-round use, and so there's another house off the market for a family. So that's what I see of it.
I was a kid, Main Street, all horses, all that. Also.
Right.
All right, since we're on this, I'm gonna slide communications under planning board. No. Planning board address, we had a great public meeting the other day.
We did, and John Fry was there and Tim Brownsell were there with a couple planning board members. And there was people from the public that came, but it was not a lot of people from the public, you know. I wonder, do we need to have another public meeting? If Dan can come.
I would have liked to have been there.
Yeah, it was.
I was there.
Herb
I was
was
I
there
was
too.
There.
That wasn't the perfect scenario to attend,
Yeah.
as you
Now,
probably know.
again, it's so like, we might love to have another one if we can.
It was thin, it was very thin.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joe didn't make it either, you know, we were not there, so.
It was Memorial Day weekend. I don't think we can have enough meetings on this, in all honesty. Before we adopt, I think it's a great idea. But out of that meeting, even though there were very few people there were a couple of really good suggestions that came out of that meeting.
And we did go back to the attorneys and we are waiting for them to tweak a couple things like what you mentioned, Joe, you know, we don't.
It's, no, it hasn't been CJ for a while. It's, Shackner, Hafner, Manning, and I'm forgetting one. But it's, they're out of Glenn's Falls area, and, they do a lot, they're town of Webb's attorneys right now. There's quite a few other towns in the park that they specialize in government. And, they've been very good. Now, and I gotta say, they've advised the planning board very well on this, and they've been very candid in their advice to the planning board. So going back with something on the moratorium, I think has made the legal team happy, if I can speak out loud.
Absolutely. So one of the things that came out of that meeting, like, you know, the moratorium, okay, no, you know, my daughter might not be able to purchase a home here, but that moratorium might give her a chance to rent here for a couple of years while she builds up a chance to find someplace else to live.
So, I'm very willing to set one up end of July. I think that might be a really good idea, again, on a Saturday. I hate to keep picking Saturdays, but if you want to get people that can be here that are renting, you know, they'd either be coming in or out at that point in time. Hopefully the owners would be here changing them over.
Another morning meeting, maybe an afternoon meeting, so
I don't know if 9 o'clock was the issue or,
Fire was the issue, wasn't
The
it?
fire was the issue.
Yeah, fire was probably the biggest issue.
so, and again,
It's been open for many months and we've received a lot of information.
Yep.
Unless something significantly new, I think there's. I want to be respectful of the board's time, planning board's time, public to have continual meetings to say the same things over and over again. I want everyone there to have their chance, but there are many chances.
if we're changing one aspect of it, and we're changing one or two aspects of it right now, I think it's incumbent upon us to have one more meeting. So I think,
July would be better, there are more people.
Yep. Want to look at the little you get your
Sure.
schedule and come up with a date?
Saturday afternoon in July, I don't know, it's just a thought.
by afternoon instead of morning.
Also, the planning board meeting. Again. Stay there, too.
That'll stay on. Wait,
It's an evening meeting.
he said-
Do you guys meet at 7?
I would put it in-
Oh,
Yeah,
June 20th, I'm sorry, yeah, June 28th is our next planning board meeting. But if you want to do another Saturday meeting in July.
2 o'clock, 4 o'clock, I don't know. 9 o'clock,
July 8th. I did a good one. July 15th is Arts in the Park. July 22nd, I did a good one.
why don't we shoot for July 22nd? After, that'd be,
Afternoon, yeah.
yeah, that'd be right before the next planning board meeting.
Later in the day might be better. You're not taking the middle out of the day. It's kind of tough to
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock,
do the middle.
July 22nd. All right,
It is our hope that we find some form of consensus prior to Columbus Day to put this to the board for passage. That's a hope. I'm not saying that's laid out in stone, but I think that gives us almost a year, if not almost exactly a year, to have an open discussion on it and move forward. All right, communications. At a power committee Zoom meeting this afternoon with the county and our engineers. There's lots happening, and then there's very little that isn't happening. But the very little that isn't happening is National Grid still not signing a contract to run power up the hill at Corisani's. The thing that is happening is Tarpon has received delivery of the branches for the towers. The county is sitting on equipment to put on the tower. Tarpon has an optimistic outlook of possibly September for turning 1 or 2 of the cell sites on the tower. That's still relying on National Grid doing what they said they were going to do. Which means not allowing Tarpon or us to hire a contractor to dig a trench and bury the cable. That means National Grid hiring a subcontractor that we could also hire, but they won't allow us to hire to dig and bury a cable. And then National Grid has to be here to inspect their own subcontractor every inch of the way, all the way up the hill. And we have to hope that they still have transformers in stock to place as they go up the hill. It's a very long run from Limekiln Lake Road up to the top of Corisani's Hill. Good news, this afternoon, the county has found us a generator that's actually in stock that we can use until we get another generator. It's a 25 kW. I'm hoping that it's going to be enough and will be rated enough to run our equipment and the shelter that we don't have. We received no bids when we went out for shelter. We just heard back from the Northern Borders people, and they will not allow us to purchase a used shelter. They will not allow us to purchase a used generator. Apparently, using a free used generator, I knew that was going to happen. As of this morning, we're still searching for any state bid on a shelter that would have all the equipment in it. But we're not going to wait to see if one falls in our lap. We're going out to bid immediately on constructing our own shelter on site. We also talked with Tarpon, and Tarpon is going to lay all the, or hopefully lay all the conduit and pour the concrete while they're up doing the concrete work for AT&T and T-Mobile for our shelter and generator, so that we don't have to go back and reinvent that later. Unless we don't get bids in on constructing our own shelter to spec, I'm hopeful that we could follow the same timeline as Tarpon on the cell sites next fall. I have to warn you, I've said that before. If National Grid doesn't come through, and short of taking them to court, this is not just us. Anywhere that they've been putting cell sites up around New York State, National Grid, if they're involved, has been horrible. They're one of the worst. I have in the past called what I like to refer to them at home, National Greed. So I'll do that again. It's reprehensible the way they are treating this as an emergency services, cell, radio, all of it is emergency services. Gotta climb off my soapbox shirt, JG.
The shelter, is it a concrete shelter?
We would like it to be a concrete shelter. It does not have to be a concrete shelter.
Can you get these specs?
The engineer is drafting those as we speak. Okay. Yep. I'll make sure that they get those to you.
Thank you.
All right, we already covered planning board, assessor codes, parts building is attached, but we also are lucky enough to have parts building and code. Mike, you get to go first this time.
We're just keeping busy, getting ready for summer. Got all our benches and picnic tables out and spent a long time setting up for the Black Fly Challenge and then a few days cleaning that all up. I really want to thank Stephen Cole and John Roush. Memorial Day weekend, Patrick and I got, I'll say, stuck at the big news fire. And without even calling or asking, John and they knew we were there, so they just came in and did our morning routine for us, which was awesome. And really appreciate that. Other than that, we're just gonna keep working, be getting the beach all set up. Hoping to have someone lifeguard there at the end of the month, beginning of July. And still working on the ball field. We've had a real problem this year with weeds. We're doing everything we can to get rid of them before we put the new play down. And I still would like to get with Sean at some point and rework our parking area back here. We just have more employees and more vehicles now, and it's gonna become an issue, especially during summer where no one can park out front to take up those spots for the tourists. Me and Patrick were able to get back there and grade things down a little bit better, but it'd be nice if we could maybe bring in some stone at some point and just increase our parking area a little bit more. I know Sean's been super busy and hopefully at some point we can get together and figure that out.
It's kind of long overdue. We could use that, no doubt.
I mean, we have so much more room back there and it's kind of just dead space, so we might as well make it look nice and take advantage of it.
And now that we're not planning on putting a strange entrance in for the codes office, because they have a really nice entrance in for now, somebody put in for them.
That's it.
All right, Dell.
I'll just, say again what Benny said. Thank you to the Highway Department, Parks Department, everybody else that was involved in Black Light Challenge. It's not in my report yet, but it will be, because my report came up before the event happened. On the event, there was 1,000 new bikers registered, 875 started, and 861 finished.
Wow.
So that's a pretty small dropout for a big race like that. But everything went well. Thank you.
About the hamster.
I forgot to thank you to one big group, which was Parks and Mike and Patrick and everybody that helped out. The park, like you said, was awesome. And it really looked pro. It was so cool to see all those spectators all lined up on that fence. It was awesome.
See, he walked out of the room while you were thanking him.
It really was. And when he stood back, I made sure, how many times I tell you, park looks awesome and everyone's having a great time.
And not to keep patting him on the back, but why not? I went up there the next day, and other than the band shell and some picnic tables, you wouldn't have been able to tell after they got done setting the pickleball court up and the other stuff that there had been almost 3,000 people, if not more, in the park.
Here, so there wasn't here.
But I mean, the turnaround, phenomenal. So, but again, touching base on back on the fire, Stephen, thank you on that too. It's another nice thing about being in a small town. I like living here. All right, Amy.
Building is starting to pick up some construction projects. We got our first tree house permit. We got the plans last week. The new system we're using for Williamson Law is excellent, and we talked to Ray Open from Tim that the process is gonna be much more streamlined for the rental permit system, starting as soon as he closes out this stuff. He's gonna give us his files and we'll be able to start entering. So it'll be all online and all able to just, once I do the inspections or John does the inspection, we'll do the process. It's literally taken like 5 minutes to issue a permit now with that program.
Awesome.
It's excellent. The assessing went well. Wednesday was fine. A little busier than usual, but I kind of knew it would be, and everything was good with that.
Okay. Nothing to update on the police, highway department. Sean, tag, you're at.
We all garbage recyclables. The town hall parking lot will get swept the next day after we. We got
Kill that one.
the Plains Road open on time for the season. Brush Week was successful with many participants. We patched up some of the gravel section of the Toby Trail near the county line. We're gonna need more gravel in the future to touch that up, so the snowmobiles have it so out. We raked the town trail gravel section. We started painting parts off the snow plows, mowed grass along the roadsides, Toby and Townsend trails. We put up the American flags along the roadways, pulled on South Shore Road, and we picked up the band shell in Old Forge for Black Fly and returned it after the event. Coming up, we're gonna haul garbage and recyclables. We're gonna sweep downtown every other week until July 4th, then it'll be every Thursday all summer until Labor Day. We're gonna be replacing 600 feet of sidewalk in 3 different locations. We cut it all today, so that's all set. I plan on starting that Monday. And hopefully they're here to 4 on Wednesday or Thursday. And then we're gonna back up the sidewalk with hot mix blacktop. And obviously plant grass on the backside and break that all in. I'd like to spray the lines in the town and the parking lots here for 4th of July. I'd like to. Time allows, I'll get it over with. Hopefully we get our blacktop project done on Uncas Road. It's gonna depend on our schedule and the blacktop plant. And I'm going to be filling a vacancy in the highway department that we've had since October. We've advertised all winter and spring. And I'm going to hire Corey Hansen. Corey's been a seasonal employee for the last 3 years at the transfer station. Did a great job there. He was with us all winter long, doing his ESCO program for school. He has learned the ins and outs of the highway department, some of the ins and outs of the highway department. And he filled in when needed, all hours of the night, plowing snow. So that's what I'm planning on doing.
I hear he wants your job too.
You can have it in a few years.
He's been a good employee. I very much look forward to having him on the crew. And again, we've been asking for people all over the place and we thought we had one and then it didn't work out. He had to leave for family reasons. And we've got a couple of people up there that are going to be aging out anyway. So this probably isn't going to be the last time this year we ask for help. So. All right. Set the same rate that we had for the last employee,
Yes,
which was,
1745.
and he's already signed up for CDL classes.
He's working on it, yes.
Awesome.
Good.
Very, very good. Any questions with highway?
You still have one position open or that fills them?
This fills all the positions as of right now.
We have a retired employee with us that would like to stay I say seasonally, it's because of the retirement requirements. You can't go over a certain dollar amount. Don Townsend, who was our previous road supervisor,
Still is.
it still is working As far as the retirement system is concerned, part-time, but he's here for winter and then the bulk of the
They
plowing
keep
season.
they keep extending his time.
Yeah, I think they're realizing all over the place that there aren't employees dropping out of the trees, be it police, highway or whatever. Indian Lake DOT had a sign out front for help for 3 years.
I think it's still there.
I think it's still there.
CDL people are hard to find anyway.
So kind of thank Don for wanting to stay around rather
I'm
than,
very appreciative of the fact that you still want to stay and work being retired.
so. All right, any questions?
Can I ask what's gonna be happening, there where the lights were set up?
Do you have any idea what they're doing with the bridge?
I do as of yesterday.
Yeah, they didn't share anything with us. They just showed up.
I had to call DOT for a different reason. And I asked them what was going on with the bridge because I came home to them lights being there and I had no idea why. And he told me that they were doing work on the bridge deck. I don't know if I have a meeting with the contractor because he wants to use some of the town property to stage stuff or use the town property for, I think it's just staging stuff. But, I think they're gonna grind off the top and put a new surface on it, from the best I can understand from what I've heard. They don't know how long it's gonna take. But I'll know more tomorrow. I'm sure
3 months.
it's 4th of July.
Yeah.
3 months.
More than more than likely.
Sorry.
But that's the best I can tell you right now. Yep.
Anything, they don't give you of all people like that.
When I talked to the guy, he said that they didn't know either. They didn't, the in Indian Lake, that they didn't know either until just recently. I don't know if they found something on an inspection and that they had to do something about it, but and I believe him because he's pretty up and up guy. So they didn't really know about it either to give heads up.
There's a lot of attention to our area all of a sudden because they're finally making good on a promise they made 20 years ago in Racket Lake. Literally 20 years ago, they were going to start replacing that bridge. So you're going to see a lot of inspectors coming up this way, checking that job out.
That's gonna be a 3-year project,
3-year project.
3-year project. Not the one here, the one up there.
Yeah.
Right, transfer station?
The transfer station's open 7 days a week from 8 AM to 11:45 AM. And then from 1 PM to 6:45, closed from 12 to 1 daily for lunch. Place is neat and orderly. I know you get sick of me saying that, but it is. They do a great job there. And, just to note that all traffic is to enter the building so that they can get an eye on what's being put into our containers. They found some stuff, they find stupid stuff in the C&D all the time that shouldn't be there. That would probably be frowned on majorly. It ends up in Indian Lake. So all traffic's to enter the building and, all C&Ds to be cut, to a 4-foot length. And that's all I have for transfer.
Town clerk?
Revenue for the month of May was $2,442.50. I just have 2 things. I need to, on the bookkeeping end of things, open a highway checking account. The way it's handled right now is when I pay bills for highway, I pay them out of general. And then highway has to pay back general, and you have to do froms from different funds and so on and so forth, and it just makes it very messy process.
They want that for payroll too?
No, they don't care about that. No, because the transfers are fine on that. But the comptroller recommended, and actually the accountant that audits my books every month recommended that we open up a highway checking account. And all that
Makes
is,
sense to me. I'm surprised you didn't do it that way from the beginning.
well, it never was, so you know, the
Yeah.
whole thing, you don't do it because it never was done that way, so.
This is the same comptroller that told us 2 years ago we had too many checking accounts.
Yeah. Yeah, and they did add that again. So I have closed a few checking accounts and now everything just goes through the general, your supervisory report. But anyway, so I just need a motion though that you allow me to open up a highway checking account.
Blank checks for Sean.
Yeah, no. Okay.
I'll second that.
Thanks.
And discussion. And again, this is just so the comptroller is happy where the money's coming out of doing transfers.
It makes it actually makes it easier to follow the money.
Only for transfers or for
No.
paying all the bills so that we don't have to do transfers to pay the bills.
And then like, for instance, right now, general pays all the health insurance and then I have to go in and figure out each month.
Which one comes out of where?
Right, exactly. So this would be, it would make it smoother, make it nicer. And then the only other thing I have to add,
Hang on, I still got a motion on the floor.
oh, sorry, yeah. I'm sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
Sorry about that. Dog control officer, we have to address. I did call the gentleman that we discussed appointing in January and he's not interested. So I called Ags and Market and they said we can appoint anyone that's willing to do it. And they'll work with them and tell them what their job is and what they can do, can't do, that kind of thing. There's no real rules. Somebody doesn't have to be something first.
Again, this isn't the kennel, this is just to be
No.
the dog control officer that could take it to a kennel.
Right, yeah, our kennel is still Sagi, Tony Sagi, so whoever the dog control officer has to take it to Tony Sagi the way it is right now. And so I did actually ask Gina first, but I haven't heard back from her yet, so I'm hoping she gets back to me because I thought she'd be perfect.
Yeah.
Cause she probably knows half the dogs. So I did ask Gina, I'm waiting to hear back from her. You know, I figured if I had a couple of people, then I could bring them to you guys and say, you know, whatever, as long as you're okay with me doing that. We had a few people in mind. There were a few recommendations of Andrew Khalil, Casey Kelly. You know.
The codes office has a new vehicle.
It is because the dog.
I just
And John,
saying.
Run it by him.
and John and Amy did graciously offer the codes vehicle to the guy, to Rick Brewer, if he wanted to come up and do some dog catching, and he was not interested. So, anyway, so that, yeah. There you go. You're right. No, just kidding. So,
Keep us posted.
okay.
Anything else? For the clerk?
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'm writing.
All right, community solar agreement. At the end of the agenda, page 10, you have an agreement from Community Solar Subscriber Agreement. We've been talking about this actually, I think, for a couple of months. This does two things. This would help us save a little bit of money, but then it opens it up wide for those in town to possibly save some money. Is anybody want to take a stab at this that knows a little bit more about it than I do?
I'll just, I'll say that community solar is the terminology for this type of agreement between, this type of company and municipalities and subscribers for National Grid and other electric providers in the state of New York. So, you know, as sort of as an organization, the Inlet Area Community Task Force, we're encouraged by this type of program. But we'll say that, you know, as far as Oya is concerned in this particular company, we just, you know, I encourage the board to take a look at, you know, if this is a company that you all feel comfortable doing business with, have the town attorney review the contract that's been sent out. We are not attorneys, and so we can't speak to like, this is a great contract, sort of all the tenets of it. But we are encouraging you all to move forward with community solar as a program. And as Connie had said before, signing up for this program in and of itself opens up a $5,000 grant, which then opens up a further $5,000 grant that we would get right away. So it's not like this is something that's further down the line. This is a high impact action. This high impact action, there's 4 high impact actions in town. And there's 2 designation grants. So just a way of saying that there's, you know, $15,000 on the table that the town could then use to whatever clean energy ends there may be at the discretion of the town.
Lights or we talked about also the potential for the charging station at Frank Park that when they come through. There's lots of options. Have you spoken at all with the current?
No, not again.
Okay, because he contacted you initially,
Mhm.
and then you referred him to me,
Mhm.
and so we've had a couple conversations, you know, we had some Zoom calls, and actually I gave him, I don't think he's on, is he, Denny? Okay, I gave him, the information on the Zoom in case he wanted to answer any questions.
Okay.
from you tonight. But that was, not too long before the meeting, I just got, all this information. The only thing that when we were quickly looking through things is the term of how long,
25 years.
long time.
It's a long time.
Yes, and with other ones, like I said before, Town Web has Ampian. I personally have had Nexamp. And the exit plan is a little bit easier. I'm not criticizing their program, but I think that, town needs to take a look and see what works for them. If you have questions, definitely contact Ethan and, say, is there any way we can not have it this way?
Just in case anybody's getting nervous, I wasn't looking for approval of this tonight. This is basically the first share with the town board on this. So,
And again, generally, it's about an 8% reduction in 8 to 10% reduction in cost. So we're talking an 8 to 10% reduction in the electricity cost townwide, and for those that sign up for this particular program. And so that's the advantage of community solar is it's just a way a savings.
And there are some companies that do a combination of solar and wind. So any of these, if one thing that we saw at the conference, these solar farms are taking over farmland where they're not using it anymore. But they're actually using it for grazing sheep. So the sheep keep it. neat.
Vote for them for free.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great idea.
So it was pretty interesting. Out west, they have them taller because then they can have cattle graze. It was pretty interesting.
web using Ambien, did you say?
Ampian.
Ambien.
And
I
Oh.
guess I'd almost be kind of interested to see what they have to offer. In all
I've heard of
honesty,
them before.
nothing against these guys. They came forward or whatever, but I mean, this is just, at this point, it's just information.
And like to both of us, when we saw that about 25 years.
Yeah, that one jumped right off the page at me.
How long is web signed up for?
I'm not sure the contract that they signed up for, but it was a 5-year contract. I could go back and
Maybe interesting to know.
yeah.
Sure.
Cool. All right, also, we've been talking, I talked last year about possibly doing a dedication on the ball field up in Arrowhead. I believe we've got a sign that's been made. And like to try and schedule something fun up there. I guess it's no secret who we're dedicating it to, right?
Do they know yet?
I think they do.
Oh, they do.
I-
I haven't.
I think they do. Well, and part of the reason they kind of need to know would be, they don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. We want to make sure that we can get as many of the family members here at a time, and I thought it'd be neat. Since it's the ball field, if we could get put out an open call to anybody that ever played Little League ball. Parents of anybody that ever played Little League ball.
I was just sitting next to Parker today at Sweden Eagle.
And, have a little picnic and a fun game, one where nobody gets hurt, running the bases, pulling an Achilles tendon. That's my wife. Yeah, I do. Carrying my wife off the field, yes. But anyways, the way you look at the calendar, all of a sudden here it is June. I don't know if I guess I kind of got to spill the beans with at least one of the family members to see if
So her sister is gonna be in town for a wedding that's taking place on July 1st.
okay.
And she is planning on staying until, she wants to be home by the 13th, but could come back, but that's the farthest.
All right. This is about the most secretive thing you'll ever see in an open meeting. All right, we'll keep you posted. It probably won't be before the next, when's that wedding?
July 1st.
July 1st.
Yeah.
It's the 13th, and our next meeting is on the 11th.
What again?
Yeah.
Well, keep an eye on the front page of the information office for a possible fun thing happening. My guess is it's probably gonna be pushed into August.
Okay.
Just because of everything that we've got going on in the park.
Yeah, so right now, there's like really nothing going on in August in here.
Yep.
Except for summer concerts.
Yep.
Yeah, because unfortunately, like even our golf tournament that was an August event has been canceled. So.
Oh, all right, summer staffing, you heard Mike say we have one lifeguard,
Maybe.
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 Maybe. If anybody knows anybody that's even interested in doing lifeguarding, at this point, I believe we'd be open to paying to have them certified. And the pay, if depending on their age and if they've got any experience, it's real decent pay. Because we can afford it, we have to afford to pay the lifeguards a little bit more because they're not a year-round employee or not getting health benefits. They can sign up for New York State retirement. That doesn't mean that they're gonna be paying an awful lot into it, but we're flexible. We need to get the beach open. We need people on the beach. Anybody in the room want to be a lifeguard? Joe, come on. Joe, come on. All right, we do have an executive session after the next public comment, and it may be a rather lengthy discussion. Just so everybody knows, but we will be paying bills when we come back out of that. Public comment, the last public comment of the meeting.
Hey, I just wanted to,
You had your hand half up. I didn't know.
I just wanted to, as far as the meeting minutes from last week, again, just, there's 2 grant rounds upcoming. There's the $2,000 for, first responder grant round. And then there's the Adirondack Regional Grant Round. That both are due on June 30th. Excuse me, first responders due June 30th, and the regional grant round is due July 31st. So I just want to put a plug in for those. They are the Adirondack Regional Grant Round that is open to municipalities as well. Just to give you an idea, the Oak Forge Fire Department is putting in for the first responder grant round towards GIS equipment for their rescue boat. So I would love to put in something for the Inlet Volunteer Emergency Services. Again, these are no match grants. They, very simple grant applications. So please see me. Like I'll help you do it. I really want to put something in. And same thing for the Adirondack Regional Grant Round. Just to give you an idea, Old Forge is going to be putting in a grant for mobile beach wheelchairs to allow folks that are handicapped to access and go swimming at the beach and sort of go in there. But it's a pretty open thing. So if the town's got any projects or plans that y'all want to put together, I would love to help you do that. Whatever your vision is, it's like I said, $10,000 to $25,000. So we're talking, it can be something big or relatively small. So please help. I'll help you put it together. But if you've got some ideas as to what the town is after, I can help you with that.
Playground?
We can reach out to a playground. I think Mike gave me a quote. We were talking more in the $50,000 range, but we could put it. Do you want to talk about that?
Get one heaven side.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
There you go.
Funny.
Thank you.
And we can talk about the fire department one too.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think George is gonna talk to you. I talked to George the other day, so you guys get together and do some EMS stuff.
Very good. Any other public comment?
I would just like to acknowledge everybody that's been working hard on the garden, community garden, and looking great. And Stephen has really taken over there, but you can see that there's a fenced area down below where to now adopt areas to, to do their own gardens, all fenced in. And, you've been there and Jennifer's been there. There's been a whole bunch of people. Hannah, you have the list.
Yeah, Hannah, Sharon Miller,
Sharon Miller,
Mary Nolan.
Yep.
A lot of people stepped up and helped me out a lot.
So you spread out to down below.
yes.
You haven't had to go vertical in the playground.
Vertical's inside, but yeah, maybe go for vertical, but anyway, everything's really going well, and the spinach is back, rhubarb is back.
Thanks to Ben Bushnell.
Thanks, Benny Beauchamp, yeah, and so, yeah, a lot of stuff has been planted, and there's still grow towers operating inside.
Awesome.
I got something.
Okay.
A couple of weeks ago, a guy came to me at the grocery store and he was asking me about the Inlet flag. The Inlet flag that we got, all that stuff. And he wanted to know why we don't sell them. And I thought, well, he said, I'd love to have one at my camp. And I thought, that's something we should look into. I'm thinking maybe other people would want to hang them on their flagpole. So maybe we could figure out.
Yeah.
That would cost, and maybe we could do something.
Yeah, we should talk to the Quills and.
Yes.
Well, I mean, with their approval, I'm sure they would have no problem with
So
it.
let us flip it upside down, so it's geographic.
Right. The
It's
point,
just upside down, the lakes are upside down.
I think it's a great idea.
I think we gotta look into it.
Yep.
I said, to them, yeah, I think that's something that,
About $30 for a custom flag.
Yeah.
I looked into some.
okay, well, and I think people would pay that, and then that actually just helps us, especially if they take them in Florida and hang them up at their place in Florida. I don't know, whatever they wanna do with them. So, there's an idea.
Who's gonna sell them?
The town.
whoever
I
handles,
would
somebody could
assume
handle
the town would sell them. I mean, I guess you could
The fun
go to
thing.
vendors and have somebody like Gary sell them, or we just have the town do it. The town clerk, she sells passes. She might just sell these.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah. Well, but you're the one that wants to be the
Is it,
marketing.
is it gonna be the information office or the clerk? Information office or the clerk? Hey, you're it.
It should be.
Easy flag pass, yeah.
Okay, it's 8:30,
There is an interest in that.
Yeah, I think so.
and we need to thank John Kalel for
Yeah.
spearheading that.
And so John stopped by a couple weeks ago and we didn't talk about selling his flags, but
Cause we need to order replacements anyways.
he wanted to make sure we had one, which we did. It was before we replaced one that's
Yep.
out there right now. He wanted to make sure we had another one to replace it, so.
And then, this might be a way to help keep us in replacement flags too. So very good.
Yep.
I think I only had one more replacement, so
Okay.
we should get some more anyway.
Excellent. We'll thank John and look into that. Great idea. All right, folks, we're not adjourning right now. But I've got to move into executive session, and that means I've got to clear the room. We want Sean to stay? Don't want Sean to stay?